Thank you for joining us for the 35th edition of NewFest, New York's LGBTQ plus film festival and this screening of The Lost Boys. I am Murtada Elfadl, film programmer at NewFest, and it is my pleasure to welcome you to this conversation with director Zeno Graton. Zeno, welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited to talk to you about this film. It's one of my favorites at the festival. From the moment I saw it months ago now, for the first time, I knew we had to find a spot for it in the festival. It just takes you into this sort of intense but very intimate story of love and passion. Um, and I understand this is your first feature.
Yeah, yeah. No, but thank you so much. Yeah.
So congratulations. I just want to talk about that first. What inspired you to make this your first feature?
Okay, so it's actually two main stuff. I have a cousin when I was a teenager myself that was placed in those juvenile centers for delinquents, and I was his age, and I knew his family. It was my family too, and I saw so many stuff that led him to do what he did, like delinquents acts that were actually for me questioning the responsibility of this youth, and just made me have a critique angle on those stuff. um, and seeing everybody talk bad about those centers, those people, and just always stepping out of those conversations and telling myself, like, there's another truth somewhere that exists and that is not happening around me. And I think also the second thing is that I read a lot of Jean Genet's novels. Jean Genet is like a French writer who wrote a
Mhm.
lot about people, men in prison, and men being in love outside and inside of the prison, and the issues of being locked in, and made also a very, very powerful short film called A Song of Love, in French, Un Chant d'amour, which is
Mhm.
actually his only short film. It's very available, like, now on YouTube. I saw it's like a 25-minute masterpiece about two inmates that are in cells that are next to each other, and they're kind of communicating through editing through the wall. And there was a will to make a love story, to talk about in a social perspectives about those centers, and also to pay homage to the Jean Genet, who actually raised me, I think, as a person, as a gay man, and also as a filmmaker in a way.
Yeah, I have read some of John Genet's writing, and I can see the inspiration there. So I didn't think of it when I was watching the film, but now it makes complete sense. I love it. That it's a combination from Genet and from your own life and people you know. I love that. Um, and you mentioned the setting of the reform center, the reform center. And what I love about this film is exactly what you were talking about. Is when you think of a reform center or ideas about a reform center, it's not a place where you think love will blossom or will happen. And so I love that in the film is that you present sort of this hard exterior. Even the characters, their exteriority is hard, but the inside is tender and beautiful and lovely, and these amazing feelings come. So can you talk a little bit about that, just to position between the hard and
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think there was a take on represent how I wanted to represent masculinity.
Mhm.
And I have been in those centers. I've made different I've spent time there, like two times. Each time was like a month, and I would go every day. I was sleeping in a little apartment next to the center in the countryside, and I would go every day. And I saw people who are deprived from everything else in their lives, and they only have each other. And I've seen a lot of solidarity, but the film is more it's a little bit outside of the reality, like the exact reality. I really wanted this kind of fable, this kind of dream, and a little bit fantasized things about a bit utopian about
Hmm.
showing that men could actually be tender to each other and not always in competition or always harsh or always bullying each other. And actually, if we can portray those images, it can actually filter out of the screen and maybe inspire people. I don't know, like I
Right.
didn't want to the history of those films about centers like this or prison movies, it's always about virility and always praising a very macho connections between the people. And even the gay movies are very virilist, we say in French, like very about masculinity, but in a very macho way.
Yeah.
And I was like, to. I need to connect to what I saw also about this young generation of kids, this young generation of guys. Either they're straight or not. I've been in touch with them in the centers, but also through the casting process that made me rethink a lot about how I wanted to make this movie. And
Mhm.
it was so much powerful, so much more powerful to show tenderness between guys, and more subversive to show tenderness and love
Yeah.
than sexuality and brutality.
Yeah.
Voilà. So this is kind of what I wanted to do.
Yeah, you certainly did that. And I loved also how tactile the relationship is. Like, the drawing, the tattoo scene, like, the touch, when they touch each other, when they look at each other, it's very tactile. Like, I think when I wrote the description for our festival that's on the website, I said something like the passion leaps off the screen or something, not to quote myself, but anyway, I think
Yeah, I
that's
like that.
exactly what I felt.
It's okay. I like that.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask
Yeah.
you about these wonderful actors, Khalil
Yeah.
Gambia, who we had at NewFest 2 years ago in a short film called The Night Train. Like he didn't come,
Oh
but his
yeah. 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 Yeah.
and I remember his face was the still we used for that film, and that was one of our best sellers. He has this intense, gorgeous face that's just can say so much. And then the other actor, Julian de Saint John, who also is in Lie With Me, which is also playing
Yeah.
our festival. So can you talk about finding them and working with them to create this intimate, intense relationship?
Yeah, sure. No, they are very different. They are really opposite actors also. Julien is, is he read the sociological book that I was talking about in my intention note, and he came prepared and he read so many stuff about those centers and he had so many ideas and he come from a school journey, a lot of acting school and a lot of skills and stuff like that. And it was a pleasure to meet him as a person. He really they both really opened a window of what is it to be a young guy of 19, 20-year old today, and made me rethink a little bit the script, toward leaning towards more tenderness and more you know taking out the inhibition, that the characters could have felt a little bit more in the script towards themselves. And we took that out. Like we wanted to portray young guys that are okay to live what they live, and that the obstacles are actually coming from the outside and not anymore from the core of the characters, because I think those stories are not relevant anymore. Or I think for me, that's what I wanted to put out in the world, to show strong characters. And to talk about Khalil, I wanted to portray a queer Arab lead character.
Mm-hmm.
I'm myself half Tunisian.
I'm
I
Sudanese, so I was happy to see that portrayal.
Yeah, you what?
I'm from Sudan, so I'm Arab too.
Yeah. No, I think we really lack of characters from Arab countries or Arab descent that are actually the lead actors of
Mhm,
the films and that have a motor, we say a drive
mhm,
that drives them through the story, meaning that they're not objects of desire or objects of victimization or objects of fetishization,
Yeah.
and I wanted to make a movie where the Arab character was actually the subject
Hmm.
uh, of the film,
Yes.
and he's the one who desires the other, and who do this thing to lead him
Mm.
in the kitchen for the first kiss. And I wanted him to have the lead on that, and not to have a white character gazing and crushing on an Arab character. This was, I mean, I could not do this anymore.
Yeah, the fetishization of race, which is in a lot of films. Yeah, yeah.
And even if you try not to, I mean, where are those Arab characters that actually desire by themselves? That it's sometimes it's well done, and sometimes maybe I'm thinking about other projects and why not? Like, but this for this one, it was important politically to make that. And Khalil, I talked a little bit about Julien, but Khalil is very much more intuitive,
Hmm.
um, and he didn't really. Make any school, or he didn't have any lessons, and he really learned on the spot. And it was a joy to make them work together, because they have, the chemistry was there, and they got along, and it was all fine.
The chemistry is definitely there. I mean, it's so intense, but also so
Yeah.
beautiful.
Thank
Um,
you. But we were what I want to say, that we thought we were making a love story movie only, and it turned out with the editing that we made also. And after the shooting, I knew it a little bit also, that we made a group movie. It was also, I really want to press that, like, the others have a lot of importance in the film, and
mhm.
it's almost now like a group movie.
Yeah, it is. It totally is. So can you talk about sort of like the rest of the cast? You mentioned a little bit earlier that you talked to people who were in reform
Yeah.
centers. So can you talk about sort of that, what that added to the story in making it like you said, a group film instead of just the two people, a two-hander?
Yeah, I think the immersions, the stays that I made there made me want to develop more than only one storyline or two storyline of these main characters. And I wanted to talk about so many stuff that you just saw in the movie, about the issues that they live. And I knew that I couldn't do it if I only had two characters. So the storylines kind of evolved, and you know. They they just became like that. The other actors, now they became friends, and now they are friends, and it's very beautiful. And during the shooting, we were shooting in a real facility that was in activity, so there
Mhm.
was a lot of humility from all the crew, but also from them, because every day on the sets, the kids, the real kids, would come with their educators to actually see what was a shooting like from another, from behind the camera. And and just to wrap it up, like, it was a very group experience also with the real kids, and
Mhm.
it was cool.
I can talk to you all day about this film. I love it. I love to hear more about it. But we have only about like a minute, 2 minutes left. Two things I wanted to bring up. First, I love that this movie kind of asks the question, what is freedom? What is desire? It's kind of like um, they're vacillating between their desire and freedom, and what is freedom if you don't have someone to share it with. I love that about the film.
Mm,
Um,
exactly. I'm asking you the same question, no?
yeah.
I still don't know.
Yeah, exactly. And the film doesn't give you an answer. It's really what I love about it. It's just
Yeah.
like it makes you feel these intense feelings about that. So
Mm.
that's going to be my last question to you. Obviously, I don't want you to interpret your film, but what do you hope people just take out of it? Like, what feeling do you hope people will leave, or idea it will leave people with?
I really didn't know, but I heard several people, like friends or people, tell me that this movie made them want to
Hmm.
love someone, love each other, love other people. And I think within our, because we're also in a queer film festival, I want to talk about how we are not raised to love each other or ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
and we are raised to hate uh, and have internal homophobia or just plain homophobia. And sometimes we think we make a lot of work about that, and then we suddenly enter a relationship, and we there are residuals. There are residuals, like there are little things that stays inside of you that don't allow you to love the one you want to love. And so it was important for me to show a love relationship,
Yes.
to
Yeah.
show that it's possible for two men to actually love 1,000% each other, and it's enough
Yeah.
to
Love is
feel
enough.
home. Love is enough to be free. No, but
Yeah.
it's true, and it's desperately true.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. And what a note to end on. Zeno, thank you so much for talking with
Yeah.
me today and for bringing this beautiful film to NewFest. We're
I
so
wish I could be there, and thank you for allowing me to do this today.
Of
Thank you so
course, of
much.
course. Um, Thank you so much. And thank you to you, the audience who joined us today for this wonderful film, The Lost Boys. We have more than 120 films available this year at NewFest, from documentaries to feature films to short films. So please join us for another film at newfest.org. And until next time, thank you.
Thank you.